Okay, with poet and writer Randall Taylor, we did a poetry movie of his poem "A Beautiful Scar," 3 minutes long. It's a movie now. I like it. I don't know if you like it. Hopefully, you like it as well.
Oh, I loved it, man. I really did. It was beautiful to hear. And I love like the art that was used in it. I love the visuals. Val Cole has such a beautiful voice, and I just love the way she conveyed it.
That's great. So tell people what's the poem about thematically? What are you trying to say?
So, The Beautiful Scar is a poem that is about learning to find beauty in the humanity that we often rob ourselves of when we feel like the world's rejected us. I want to speak to all my people out there that may have dealt with bullying or some form of isolation growing up. I dealt with that a lot throughout my early childhood. And what I found throughout my writing is I want to be able to speak to that isolation. I want to speak to that beauty, those beautiful thoughts that we have to ourselves, but we're sometimes too scared to let them out because of how we might be judged for them, or someone might call them stupid or dumb or call us crazy. But I think it's really important and enriching to be able to find that radiance in our humanity.
So yeah, we hold, I guess, like in a general sense, we hold back through fears and insecurities or judgment, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think everybody can relate to that to a certain extent, right? Like we don't, especially in today's, I don't even know, like, because I grew up obviously without the internet, and so I grew up in a different time. But it must even be even more profound now, right?
Oh,
Where,
absolutely.
yeah.
And I think it's really important because I've been guiding more and more younger writers that have been feeling more confident about putting their voice out there. And some of them have shared those experiences with bullying. Some of them have shared those experiences of just being scared to put their voice out there. And I always try to encourage them, like, your voice needs to be heard. It may not just be by me. It may not just be by your readers, but someone who reads your work or hears your voice portraying that work, they probably need to hear it that day.
So I personally, I was very ignorant until I had kids about bullying, and and I realized that it's not just like because there's a certain kind of stereotype or kind of like there's like a it's like a narrow bullying's a narrow thing where like I'm going to take your lunch money or I'm going to push you down, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah, they
bullying
do those
is really
cartoon stuff.
about like control for these kids. This is what I'm experiencing. Like kids are trying to control other kids where like you're not allowed to play with us today. If you do this,
Yeah,
if you say this, then you're not my friend anymore. And it's all this kind of soap opery kind of crap that goes
yeah,
on in the
it really is.
schoolyards that I'm noticing.
Yeah, because I think a lot of it comes from really it starts in the environments. It starts in environments. There were a lot of times when I used to be a camp counselor in my younger days.
Yeah.
We used to work with kids that were deemed as problematic or they were deemed as bad kids by much of the society. But when I got to learn about these kids and I got to hear about their upbringings, they would open up to me and I would learn, you're just misunderstood because you're not being heard at home. And so this is kind of what you've learned through your experiences to be the proper way of establishing a social dynamic with others is usually through power, through control, because that freedom is what you're lacking at home.
Gotcha. So there's cause and effect to the kids being like that, I guess, right? They're not just bad kids.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they're like that.
Oh yeah, completely.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's some of that, but it's like, but then it's the kids who get it just because I've always like I've talked to people like who made films and who've written about bullying, and it's like there's it's like a domino effect, right? Like it's like these kids are learning communication, they're learning how to be friends with other people. And I'm just being general in a sense, but it's like that's not they teach math, they teach how to spell, they teach how to read and write, but they don't teach how kids become friends in
No, the
school,
furthest
right?
they teach is the golden rule.
What's the golden rule?
Uh, be kind to others as you would want others to be kind to you, or treat
Sure.
others how you want to be treated. It's in all the
Okay.
classrooms,
Gotcha. But
but it's never
that's a
actually
very
taught.
it's a very general kind of like poster, I guess, right? But it's
Yeah,
about nuance, right? It's about how do you build relationships with people, but functional because there's so many dysfunctional relationships out there that we repeat, including myself, we repeat patterns of personalities because we're used to
yes,
that, we're attracted to that, and it starts when you're a kid. And when you get
it
bullied,
does.
say when you're 6, you're gonna keep repeating yourself in that pattern with that same
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, you're absolutely on, and it's that repeating pattern because you're not being taught about how to really communicate with others. You're not taught about understanding. You're not taught.
Yeah,
There are parents that do like take the time
sure.
out to teach these kids, but if we're still seeing bullying and cyberbullying, then clearly it's not exactly the majority, you know. So it's just a lack of teaching kids about humanity. We teach them on such a general scale of what society's already put out there as the status quo, but we don't really teach kids enough about nuance. You know how they say kids only learn about like things like racism because they're taught. Well, parents aren't teaching their kids enough about those inequalities and
Yeah.
about the truth behind those inequalities and why such stereotypes and horrible things being said to people exist in this world.
Well, maybe because they're saying the bad things themselves, right? So
Exactly. Exactly. So
let's
you're
be
right.
honest
It,
here.
it
Yeah.
becomes a domino effect.
Yeah. Yeah. If your parents are racist, more than likely you become racist too, unless you have a change of perspective, right? So
Yeah, that's unfortunately how it plays out. And there are some rare few that never subscribe to what their
sure.
parents are
Yeah.
speak about on that topic. But for the most part, it really is
Mhm.
a very sad domino effect.
Yeah. You have to leave kind of the environment and build new influences.
Yeah, broaden your horizons. That's something I
Yeah.
recommend to everybody. Travel, learn. Don't be afraid to learn about new cultures. If there's a new kid in your school or a new student, and you're seeing
Yeah.
it from another culture, another part of the world, try to make friends with them as best you can. Learn.
That's what I find. That's what I'm sorry if I'm getting into. Hopefully you're okay talking
No,
about
that's
this.
okay. Oh, absolutely. I love conversations like this. We're all
This
good.
is this is what I see what happens even where I live in Canada, where it's like very multicultural, but everybody's got their own little tribes. So like the Jewish
Yeah,
kids hang around with the Jewish kids, the Chinese kids hang around with the Chinese kids, the black kids hang around with the black kids, and it's
yeah,
like then they don't intermix, right?
yeah. And a lot of that comes from what we just talked about with
Yeah.
stereotypes. And a big part of that is media. Media plays such a huge role.
You think so?
And yeah, and I think it's something that you could see even dating back to political cartoons. It just moved to another medium once things like TV and radios, like once they had their place, now you move on to things like social media and you see it through memes, you see it through movies, television. There's just so many different ways that other cultures are portrayed that it often serves as a stand-in for people to actually learn about these other cultures. Look at how America portrays Canada.
Yeah. But here's my perspective
Like,
is that like we got a lot of there's been a lot of Chinese immigration in Canada the last 20 years. So which is fine. I have no issue with it at all. But the parents who are like in this foreign land, the first generation, it's like any immigration, right? They basically are like they like to be with their own because they can speak the language, they understand where they come from. There's a comfortability, right? We all kind of stay
yeah,
within our world because there's a comfortability. So by proxy, the kids become friends with those kids' parents, and then when they go to school, they kind of mingle with each other. That's sort of what, and it's understandable because when you say you come to this country for the first time and you speak a different language and you're kind of it's all new, all brand new, right? You're going to stay
oh
with
yeah,
your tribe,
definitely.
right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because I want to be able to travel to Japan at some point, and a lot of times I look up a lot of videos about what the experience is like for Black travelers going out there, and some of them have had a few negative, but overall it's been pretty positive, and it's just really beautiful to see their experiences and just learn as much as
Yeah.
I can about it. But you're absolutely right. It does come down to comfortability.
And then that's how bullying, like it's just like kind of a seed of that, right? And then in the school systems. And then,
Yeah, because the stereotypes, man, I feel like the stereotypes are kind of like they're like a I can't say necessary poison, but like they're like a poison that seeps into that comfortability and taints it. So now it goes from just having comfort with, people from your culture. Now it becomes a little bit more cliquish with how different cultural groups speak about each other. And it's something that's really messed up when you think about it, because it's like you would think people would be able to bond more based on their cultures, but so much time gets spent like keeping us apart from seeing those similar nuances with each other.
yeah. And we're all human. It's a cliche, but we're all
Yeah,
human. We all have the same
it's true.
insecurities and fears and right?
Yeah,
So,
and that's really that's really where it should all start is us all being human. It's just unfortunate that so many parts of the world don't see it the same way.
yeah. And now it's becoming like a political divide, right? Where it's like if
Yeah.
you have to be on a certain side, and if you're not on that side, then we're not friends anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And then on the other side of that, it comes where people might not see a vote as so dangerous, but it's like you may have voted for someone I don't agree with. That may not be cause enough alone for us to end our friendship, but there is, I believe, some self-awareness and understanding what your vote does speak to a candidate and what they support. Even
Sure.
if you could agree with one policy and nothing else, but
Yeah.
if you still place that vote, you may not say that, but your vote is telling them that you pretty much are on board for
Which
everything
is
that they're going along with.
which is you have to give people the benefit of the doubt. Most people are
Yeah.
one vote, one kind of one topic kind of voters, right?
Yeah.
They care about their bottom line money. It usually has to do with the economy.
Yeah,
So
always.
what's that?
I said always. Usually always. That's always going to be top of the list. Understandably so too.
It just and see someone is like ignorant about gay rights or whatever like that. They don't even see that because they just care about what they can do for them, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
about the taxes. They
yeah,
care about if they're going to get taxed more or not.
sure. Okay, so then to go back to your poem, fantastic. Do you remember when you first like kind of wrote it? Like how long ago was it?
You know what's crazy? I actually was thinking about that recently, and because of so many things going on, my memory is about as pretty kerfuffled currently with it. But if I had to remember exactly, I would say I think it was my first winter residency with the UNR MFA program. Um, and that was about January 2022. And I was going through a very, very rough time,
Okay.
whether it be my love life, whether it be my personal life. There was a lot weighing on my mind at the time. And there was a lot of personal reflection that I've been going through throughout the program. And so it was near the end of residency, and my colleague, John Blake, amazing human being, and him and the rest of my class in our workshop, they were doing critique. And so we did critique on my poetry packet, and they were telling me how beautiful the language is and how beautiful the imagery is. And then he said, I just think the one thing lacking from your work is you're protecting someone. I don't know who it is trying to protect. I'm not going to go into any further detail, but I think your work would skyrocket if you stop protecting these people. And another colleague of mine in that same workshop, Michael Gallaglass, you guys should definitely check out his work. He is another awesome writer and human being. And he told me, we don't know who exactly the quote came from. I don't know if you'll know either, but he told me a quote of, if they didn't want you to write about them, they should have treated you better. And that is such a powerful quote that has stuck with me ever since I first wrote this poem.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a lot of times it's people close to you, right? Like family members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but uh, that's just how it goes,
So when you
unfortunately.
were told that advice, which is very interesting advice, I find that fascinating. What was your first instinct? Did you resist that charge or did you
Yes,
know right
of
away?
course I did. Of
Yeah.
course I did, because it's such a scary thing to be able to acknowledge to yourself, because you already it's like a rubber band. And so you're like pulling on that band, pulling on the band, and you think you pulled as much as you can before it snaps, and
Yeah.
then boom, now you're getting told, well, you don't have to give specifics of these people,
Mm.
but you're not exactly going at who is making you feel this way, which in the space of your writing is like letting them off the hook. Where writing is supposed to feel like our JoJo, is supposed to be our sanctuary for artists
Yeah.
like us. So that stuck with me so much. And I'm pretty sure people can infer that poem was not just from a family perspective, it was from perspectives of a lot of people that I've met throughout my life and my early upbringing, because that's really where I'm pulling most of that emotion from in that poem.
Yeah. Well, you want to be protected, right? So you want that somebody to have your back, I guess, if something
Yeah.
happens to you, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. But I think one of the biggest lessons I learned is that people can only really protect you once they've learned how to protect themselves. And when they weren't protected, when they were coming up, how can they really know how to protect you? They only know one way of doing things. It
Yeah.
doesn't excuse, the feelings they brought onto you. It doesn't
Yeah.
excuse how they might have made you feel or the behaviors that they showed within that. But the truth is that they probably only knew one or two ways of doing things, and that's the beautiful that's the beautiful duality to humanity, is that a lot of messed up things that we do to others and people that we care about, we it's sometimes the only way we know of doing things.
Gotcha. But at the same time, this is about you, right? And so I like that how you're looking at the other side of things. You're kind of looking at the whole perspective, the whole kind of circle, so to
Yeah,
speak.
I
But
always
at the
try
same
to.
time, this is you, right? So fuck them. Like they failed,
uh
right?
I will admit, at the time of writing this, I
Yeah.
was. And even when I performed it earlier, just to like really put myself back in that emotional space for it,
Yeah.
I felt it. But I think I felt less anger in my
Sure.
recent performance earlier of it, and more
Yeah.
of a melancholy, like
Yeah.
an angry melancholy where I'm still upset for how all of you treated me, but I've also been able to put in the past, and I more so look at that as not an indictment on humanity, but I look at that in the spaces of what you were lacking in your own
Yeah.
humanity, what you didn't get to learn, and what you weren't taught, and how you were treated. So I try to pull from that a lot more often, so I don't write from so much vitriol. But with newer poems I'll be writing, I'll be still tapping into that
No, no, no.
for the emotional space sake.
No, no, no. This is therapy. You. It's like you've forgiven, but like you. It seems like you've gone to a forgiven state, which is that's why you have that perspective, right? Which is
Yeah,
amazing.
and it was a long journey. It was a very long journey. A lot of
Yeah,
especially that same year. Especially that same year writing
yeah.
it. There was a lot going on that year for myself personally, especially within the family landscape. So there was a lot of reflection that I had to do for myself after said incidents later in that summer that helped me reach the perspective that I have now.
Well, I'll say it like this. It's like you have that you're obviously very enlightened and very evolved, and which is great. But you can forgive somebody and you can come to that clarity and you can have that peace. Doesn't mean that they have to be in your life, right? They can just
Oh,
like,
absolutely not.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely not. We are
yeah,
on the same page about that. That's really where the perspective came at,
yeah.
was we probably aren't going to see eye to eye, and as things stand, there's probably not going to be a change in how we view each other and our dynamics. So I will always have love for you, but sometimes with people, you guys just go separate paths in life. It doesn't have to be any bad blood or any vitriol. You just move on to different paths.
So what's your so if you I can ask how many poems you've written. If you've read, you said you've been writing poems since you were 12, so I'm assuming it's in the hundreds, one would assume, or it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's roughly, I would say, in like the low 100s
Yeah,
currently, because there's definitely been some breaks here and there, but a large majority of them I have probably lost by this point.
sure. No,
Outside of the ones that I brought with me to my program, like
and you but you're a writer. Do you write like short stories? You write screenplays? You also write other things?
I've written a couple of short stories here. There's one I'm currently working on called Black Love Matters, but I'm gonna be redoing the whole framework, because I originally was given it as an assignment by a former mentor of mine named Scotty Lowe. She is the creator of Afroerotic that centers on Black love, Black erotica, and just the beauty and the divine in our culture. And so she gave me an assignment for that around my sophomore, I want to say my sophomore year going to my junior year of undergrad. And I'm pretty much going to be
Afro-erotica.
forgive me for that. House phone is landlines, man.
What's that?
Freaking landlines.
Oh, you still
But
have one?
yeah, yeah, for other reasons. But yeah,
I
that
find that
that assignment
all
was
the landline calls are like they're spam. They're like telemarketers or whatever. But
yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, and that's exactly what it was. The
Yeah.
answer machine would just not turn off when I was trying to mute the ringer. But yeah, Black Love Matters is a short story that I'll be working on. I'm reframing it, so I don't really know where I'm taking the story currently. So
Yeah.
the synopsis, I don't want to give out a synopsis set just yet because that
Yeah.
might change. But I'm going to be moving slowly while I'm working on poetry. I'm going to be moving more into creating Black erotica short stories because it's something that I've always had an interest of, and I just want to see my people portrayed with more light, more divinity, without having to be constrained by the status quo or what's appropriate, because most of us are all adults in this world.
Yeah.
And I think that there's an appropriate way to discuss these things. And being a poet myself, something that I was taught about in the MFA program was just letting yourself be raw, letting yourself be raw, letting yourself be free. And I think that's something that I want to truly convey in my work.
Gotcha. And so, but it's not like, is it like soft, like, is it porn or like, is it just kind of like, when you hear
No,
erotica, it's like, I think I got flagged by saying erotica on a Blue Sky feed or something like that. So like,
wow, that's crazy. You would think that that one wouldn't get flagged. Wow.
yeah, it was like adult content kind of thing, right? So it
Oh, so
doesn't,
I guess well, I don't want this to get flagged for you either. So we'll say, yeah,
no, it's totally
it
fine. No, but basically, but it's more about like it's more about what was typed in the text, right? And it was like
yeah,
you're gonna so when you get adult content on social media, like it doesn't go anywhere, right? It just kind of stays within your fan, not even
it
with your fan
depends.
base. You just have to. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't get posted. It doesn't get. It's just like there, but it's kind of that's why I was asking you. Is like,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it more
Usually
like kind of
you want to
romance
go with
or?
self-publishing. Yeah, for that you usually want to take the self-publishing route, which is most likely what I'll do with it because I
Yeah,
want to be able to have my own say over what is appropriate and what isn't in my work.
gotcha.
So that's the kind of freedom I want to have. But some might construe porn and erotica as the same thing, but there is definitely a difference between
Of
the two.
course.
With erotica, it's more about the story and I don't want to be vulgar, but I'll put it like this. You know, everyone once has their first time and they think it's going to be a really beautiful, sultry, sensual moment.
Yeah, I never, when you lose your
Um,
virginity, yeah, yeah,
yeah, when everyone thinks it's going to be so magical and special the first go around. That's really what erotic is kind of
yeah,
is putting that into stories as what we think a
yeah.
lot of these scenarios will kind of play off like. But
I'll say it
that's
like
really what
this.
erotic is.
It's very quick for men and it's very painful for women, right? The
Yeah,
first time.
yeah, unfortunately. But you know, you always want to try and be as careful and protective, as safe as possible, because everyone deserves to enjoy the pleasure, you know. And
But
I
it
just think
takes
we should
time, just like
take good care of
anything.
that.
Yeah, you can't pick up a basketball or a baseball and become great. It takes time, right?
Nope, I told this to younger people I've had to mentor. When it comes to it, I'm like, the first time is going to be goofy as hell.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are going to be a couple of goobers or dunces while doing it. You're not going to get everything right the first try.
It takes a while for the man, I mean general, of course, but for the man to realize it's not about them, it's about the woman. Take care of the
Yeah,
woman, and then take care of yourself.
exactly. Don't be out here on making sure, I'm gonna get mine and I
Yeah,
hope you get yours. No, we stick with pleasure first.
yeah. We're talking
Pleasure,
about life,
safety.
right? Yeah. But
Yeah,
it's
pleasure,
interesting
safety,
that you get
perfection.
flagged for posting erotica, but then they could do a shoot 'em out from John Wick 2, whatever, for 20-minute second clip, and people are mass murdered and like blood's flowing everywhere.
Exactly.
That's
You know how
totally
many
fine,
violent
but
videos there are on Twitter alone? There are
yeah,
so many violent videos on Twitter that don't get
isn't it
flagged.
crazy?
It's
And
ridiculous.
you can't talk about sex.
Yeah, like
North America.
we're a bunch of kids, and I don't know, man. It's such a weird thing because it's like maybe we do need to be able to talk about it more, only because people really need to be educated.
Yeah. Well,
I
certain
think not,
certain
and I think there's
us
safe ways to go about it. Like,
yeah. I was gonna say certain cultures and do it like you go to Scandinavian country, they don't they talk about sex all the time, right? So
there you go. Like there, I think Brazil too is another place that's really big on it.
yeah.
It's very, very, it's really
Well,
place
Brazil's
to
got
go.
that Catholic religion hanging over them, right? But
Yeah, so they have that, but
yeah.
I can't really think of of other places, but you're definitely right. There are a lot of places
It's
around the
the
world
less
that are.
religious countries like that don't care as much, right? So
Yeah, the more religious ones like Brazil, it's under. I think it comes with a lot more careful consideration. Like I do know they have sex work laws up there, and you're like allowed to be licensed for it and documented for it. So they're more religious, but they have more of a how do I try to put it? They have more of a guideline with things. They have more of a careful eye over things.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Japan? You were talking about Japan, right?
Yeah, I really want to. I was supposed to go back in 2020, but lockdown killed that dream.
They sell
So
used panties in like kind of like you can
out
buy
of
a
the
bag of
vending
chips and
machine,
then you buy used panties. Like it's fucked up.
out of the vending machines,
Yeah.
like, and that's something I can't say it's something that I would indulge in for myself. That is that's not up my alley. But it is something that I think would be kind of cool to see in person. Like, wow, they really do this.
Yeah. But that's just like dysfunctional. But then again, who am I to judge?
Yeah,
So
I think it's a wonderland. I just think it's a wonderland of freedom and imagination. So I
you've
can't
been to
wait to be able.
Amsterdam?
No, that's next on the bucket list
Yeah.
though. Yeah, me and my
That's
little brother
pretty
want to go to
intense.
Amsterdam.
I went when I in my 20s. It's like, whoa. I shouldn't have done that. I'd love to go now because I have more perspective, but yeah, it was just like it was a crazy scene.
I really want to go. I heard it's so beautiful out there.
It
The
is. It
scenery, the
is.
venues. I really want to. That's on the next on the bucket list after Japan.
Japan, then Amsterdam. Yeah. Well, yeah, like it's you can have a good time, but then they have great museums and it's really yeah, it is a beautiful place.
I can't wait, man. I'll look up pictures too.
So what's that?
I said I'm gonna look up pictures too, do my research on it because I haven't looked up Amsterdam in quite a while.
Yeah. It's like it's got a lot of canals and stuff. It's like Venice in a sense. It's like a lot of people ride bicycles and yeah.
I heard
And
about that
they
too.
partake in
And
drugs. And
yeah, I heard about the legalities out there too.
yeah,
My brother put me onto that one.
yeah. And just you walk down the street, and there's girls in basically it's just I don't know, it's just it's crazy. And then you're high.
Yeah,
So,
man. Hey, good times. It's vacation.
all right, man. Well, congratulations on the poem. It's fantastic. I really think it's fantastic, and I love to work with you guys. Like work with you again. Tell me what you're up to, and
Absolutely.
whatever we could do to help promote your short stories and the erotica site. Yeah, no, we're here.
Absolutely, man. You have my contact information. We can always stay in touch. And thank you for having me. I just want to say I'm so grateful and thankful and gracious for this opportunity. Like it
Of
was a really
course.
big turnaround for me.
All right, man. Have a good one. We'll talk soon.
You too.